What's happening? Welcome back to Season 7 of the Cycle Shack Podcast. I'm Ivan Rodriguez, your host. It is Friday, September 13th. Friday the 13th. There's not a full moon out, but there's a moon out there. We're back on the podcast. New broadcast. Hopefully you guys tune in. I'm not going to waste any time with it. Just want to jump on and do a quick show just to get a little debut out, even if it's 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it is. Flap my gums about or whatever. If you're watching for the first time, the Cycle Shack Podcast is a talk show platform podcast. I am a motorcycle enthusiast, bike rider, whatever you want to call it. I will talk about motorcycles from time to time, like I probably will right now, but it's not all the time. But anyway, moving forward, hope everybody's doing well and enjoying the weather. So if you're getting that riding out, take advantage of this weather. This week was nothing but sunshine, 80 degrees. It topped out at 70s, in the 70s, but still warm the beginning of the week. But yeah, it was awesome. It was an awesome week for riding. Unfortunately, I couldn't get to go riding, but it's Friday today. So tomorrow I plan on jumping on that bike and going out for a few hours and enjoying the sun. So yeah, man, it's September. It's still the beginning of September. We're second week into it. So take advantage, get out there, ride them two wheels, man. The season's going to get out on you fast, unless you're in Florida, Arizona, California. And anyway, we'll leave that alone. Yeah, I'm jealous. I'm jealous for those people. On the motorcycle lineup, I just want to say that, right now, in the direction motorcycles are heading, it looks like Harley Davidson's got the right idea with that new bagger that they got with the 2024 Street Glide, Road Glide. The only negative things I've heard about those are the infotainment center has had some kind of issue where it's knocking out on people and they're bringing it back to Harley and they're not finding any issues. So it's a monitored case-by-case thing. I don't see that as too huge of an issue. It's a new infotainment system, so you would think that you let it go a season or two and they work out the bugs, etc. And they may come out with updates that'll fix all those bugs. So give it some time. Other than that, the bike itself is performing wonderful. It's got nothing but great numbers. You got ride modes, and it's an awesome bike. I personally am not ready to upgrade right now. I'm happy with my 2016 Ultra Limited Low, so I'm going to stay with that. And, ride it till the wheels fall off, like I say, right? The one thing I do have to say is that I'm anxious to see what they're going to come out with for 2025. I think they need to get off the Euro bandwagon and come up with something a little bit better, because everything in the U.S. is going Euro, which sucks, from cars to SUVs. Every SUV looks like an egg, which I hate now, and they all look the same. Cars look all the same. So on the motorcycle world, I hope they don't just do that. I've always said that what I'd like to see for Harley Davidson to come out with is that Safari bike that they came out with that has that engine that they're using for the new Sportster, except it's downscaled a little bit. The new liquid-cooled Revolution X 1250 cc on the sporty models, it's 120 horsepower, but on the Pan America, it's got a whopping from factory 150 horsepower, fully liquid-cooled engine. And I'd like to see Harley dial that up a notch more and throw it on a bagger. Let's come out with an all-liquid-cooled bagger. I'm for that. I'm for the better technology in the bagger realm. I'm for the horsepower, the ride modes. It's going to evolutionize the bagger world. As far as sound, we know that was going away. Everybody's eliminating sound. But where there's a will, there's a way, folks. We'll get the sound back. I'm not a fan of the electric bikes, the electric cars. I think that's not going to be the wave of the future. I think I want to see the liquid cool bagger with the Revolution X before I see them going in the direction of full electric. The U.S. government is pressuring all vehicle manufacturers, whether it be automotive, motorcycle, whatever, to start gearing towards all electric, and I think that's going to be tomorrow's problem. I do not believe in all electric vehicles. I do not believe in battery power. It's an alternative. It's an alternative to the internal combustion engine, but it's not a solution. So I think we need to keep that in mind when downstream. But anyway, that's all I got for motorcycles. Moving on. I'm excited because tomorrow night is a big fight night. I'm going to be flipping back and forth. UFC 306. It's got a nice card lineup, and The main event being Sean O'Malley against Mirab. I'm not going to do his name any justice, his last name. Let me try. Devalishvili. Oh, anyway. Mirab. Sean O'Malley against Mirab. That's going to be the main event. I'm anxious to see that fight. Sean O'Malley's 18-1. This guy Mirab is 17-4. It's going to be a great fight. That's going to be for the bantamweight main event. That's the main card. If you're a UFC fan like I am and my sons, we love it. My screen froze up here. What's going on? Anyway, in that lineup on the main event, you have on the women's division, women's flyweight, the co-main event is Alexa Grasso against Valentina Shevchenko, which that's going to be great. I've seen both those women fight, and that's going to be a nasty one. The card under that will be the featherweight fight, Brian Ortega against Diego Lopez. I'm on the corner for Diego Lopez. Like him. He is a Mexican-born but Brazilian-raised, so he speaks both languages and represents both countries. However, you know what? He's a good fighter. He's a gentleman. He is a gentleman. Doesn't talk shit before he fights. Puts on a little tough attitude, but shakes hands always, bows his head, and shows a lot of respect. So always been a fan of Diego Lopez. So if you're into the UFC fights, man, tomorrow night's going to be a nice card. The problem is that's conflicting is tomorrow night, the UFC is debuting at the new Sphere in Las Vegas, which everybody's been dying to see that. A fight in the Sphere. How are they going to do that? Where everything around them is going to be like a giant screen and you're going to have stuff displaying. What are they going to do? Are they going to have mountains? Are they going to have the sky? I'm anxious to see that. For boxing, in the world of boxing, you've got for the unified titles on Mexican Independence Weekend. I believe tomorrow is Mexican Independence Day, or it might be Sunday. Sorry for not knowing that, but it's the weekend of Mexican Independence. And it's going to be Saul Canelo Alvarez, who is the multi-weight, it's got like 4 or 5 belts, champion, against the 22-0 undefeated Edgar Berlanga, representing Puerto Rico by way of Brooklyn, New York. Now, I got to say, I'm a Canelo fight fan. Although Canelo has gotten a little cocky and arrogant, maybe a little full of himself lately, I'm still a fan. I mean, rightfully so. This guy's the king of his division, of multi-divisions, and he holds the title. So I am impressed with his training. I watch the training. I watch all the trainings, all the pre-fight trainings, all the way up to the days of the fight, because me and my sons are really interested in seeing this fight and following it. So what I see is that Canelo's still training hard and he looks good. This kid Edgar Berlanga. All right, before I say anything, I'm going to root for him. I'm going to root for the kid. New York-born Puerto Rican like myself. So, of course, naturally, I'm going to root for him. Do I think he's going to win? Maybe not. Haven't been impressed with his training. Does he want it? He looks like he wants it. It may be that he's hiding it from the cameras, but I haven't seen too much training, heavy-duty training going on. You see a lot of jogging, a lot of treadmill, a lot of the medicine ball, turning of the waist and, stuff like that, jumping rope. Very minimal hitting of the pads, very minimal of any heavy bag training. I always gauge on boxers, on fighters, their time around the heavy bag. If you can go 5, 6, 7, 8 rounds on the heavy bag and keep it intense, then chances are your skills are going to be pretty good in the ring. So, I mean, I know heavy bags don't hit back, but I'm talking about as far as stamina and your intensity and your performance. So I haven't seen that from Edgar Berlanga, and I have seen it from Canelo, and Canelo looks damn good and impressive. So I want to find it within myself to believe that Berlanga stands a chance. He does. This is a traditional, true Rocky story, okay? In the movie Rocky, it was Rocky who was given a chance, a brawler from Philadelphia who was given a chance against the champion who hailing from Detroit, Michigan, Apollo Creed. And he gave him a hell of a fight, even though in the end it was determined Rocky lost. Berlanga's got a hard punch. He's got a hard uppercut, has a nice jab, has some extremely explosive knockout power. But I don't know what he's going to do against the multi-champ Canelo Alvarez, so that remains to be seen. So I'm going to root for my fellow New York-born Puerto Rican, Edgar Berlanga. Do I think he's going to win? I want him to, although I know Canelo Alvarez is the champ, and I can't deny the fact that he stands a very good chance in winning. But that's my take on it. So let's see what happens. What else could we jump on? I got all my notes written down somewhere. Like I said, I wasn't planning on doing a podcast tonight, but I was eager and excited to jump on. I'm testing the platform out. As you can see, I'm throwing video on this. So it's probably going to air on YouTube, on Facebook. I'll probably throw some previews on Instagram. You could check us out at the Psycho Shack Podcast at gmail.com for email, questions, comments, photos, anything you want. Check us out on Facebook at the Psycho Shack Podcast, and YouTube, the Psycho Shack Podcast, and on Instagram, official Psycho Shack Podcast. So this is going to air in a few days because I'll have to play with it a little bit, which is why I'm testing it on YouTube and on Facebook. I'll throw it on Facebook. Might throw it on Facebook right after when I'm done editing and all that other stuff. But so I do have shows already in mind. I have show number 1 and number 2 pretty much planned out on details on what I'm going to talk about. But again, today I just felt like throwing something together and BSing a bit. I watched the presidential debate this week, and again, I don't really like getting into politics. I don't care. I don't choose a side. I'm not. My views on politics is that they're all in cahoots in some way, shape, or form. It's the haves against the have-nots, and we're the have-nots, okay? The people in power will always have power. We won't. Everyone says, rock the vote, we the people. Nah, I don't think so. Not in today's days. If this was 1950, I'd say, yeah, go for it. But in 2024, there's a whole lot going on and not enough for the people happening. So that being said, I just got a good laugh at the debate. They're seeing a lot of skepticism that the moderators from ABC were partial to Kamala Harris, however you say her name. I don't know. I don't know what to believe. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to fact check things nowadays because every form of media is full of shit. Excuse the French, but it is. So, yeah. Of course, if Trump had some good things to say, he kind of made himself look a little bit foolish because he went on with banter. And, again, in traditional Trump form, he wasn't as expressive as he should have been. But again, it is what it is. It's going to be interesting. Who's going to win? Who knows? Who knows? Whoever the agenda is, whoever the people in power want to be their face, that's who they're going to elect. That's who they're going to have. It doesn't matter what vote you put in my opinion. It's going to be swayed in whatever direction they feel like it's going to go. But let's leave that alone. And we'll see come election day. Again, I mentioned the season's coming to an end. So now's that time to start thinking, saving up, start buying all your maintenance stuff. So that way when you got to put the bike down, you can do the service now instead of leaving it all winter with all the oils and everything that it's in it. It's a good idea to change those oils when you put it away. So that way when you go to ride, you got fresh oil in it. And remember, don't start those bikes up during the winter. You don't want to do that. I mean, unless you're going to go out and ride for a little bit on a nice, clear winter day. But for the most part, a lot of people I hear, they turn it on just to get the juices flowing and the oils moving. I turn it on for 5-10 minutes and then shut it down. That's the worst thing you could do for a motorcycle or a vehicle of any type, because you're again, not to get into it because I've done multiple podcasts on this, but you're building moisture in that engine. And you're not letting it get to normal operating temperature and operating it for long to burn all that out. And then when you shut it down, it's going to be exposed to the cold. So it's going to go from extreme heat to now extreme bitter cold, which is going to create condensation, and condensation creates rust. It promotes moisture and rust. So you're better off just, changing the fluids, filling the tank up putting your stabilizer, running it during the normal moderate weather right before you put it away. Let those fluids circulate, and then you just shut it down, polish her up, clean her, put a good cover, breathable cover on her. Either pull the battery out and bring it inside or put it on a tender. If you're in a garage, again, you could disconnect it, put it on a tender, whatever the case may be, and she'll be ready for spring when you're ready to ride. Better to do that now, so that way in the spring you don't got to worry about getting the oil change and all that other BS done. Knock it out and let it stay fresh for the winter. Yeah. That and keep the tires at a good pressure. Maybe a little bit firmer than what you normally would. The whole myth about putting cardboard under the tires or wood or, flat spots don't happen on these, the tires that are built today. That was in yesteryear's tires. The compounds that they have today don't do that. But it is a good idea to maybe overinflate them a little bit, just a little bit. If you're used to putting 35 PSI, throw 40 PSI, 38 to 40 PSI. And, that'll be it. I normally take some WD, to wipe it on a rag and just wipe all the metal down a little bit so that it has that light film of oil on it. That stuff will dissipate you wipe the bike down when it comes to when you pull that cover off. You won't even feel any oil on it. But I do that just to keep the moisture off the metal parts. And I spray a little bit down the back of the exhaust pipes. And then I tuck a rag into the, an old T-shirt into the exhaust pipes. So I leave my bike out undercover. It's inside of like a mini makeshift garage, so to speak. So it's not exposed to the elements, rain, snow, and wind. It's inside of a tarped, what do you call it? Like those Harbor Freight pipe sheds that have the thick, heavy-duty tarping. So it's undercover. Plus, I put a motorcycle cover over that. And, there might be field mice that may come around. So I tend to... Again, spray a little WD down the exhaust pipe, and I tuck some T-shirts in there just so that nothing crawls in and makes a home inside the exhaust. And, away she'll go. So, again, we got about 2 months before that happens. I ride at least through November, as long as weather permits. Once the real first hard snowfall falls, then you kind of want to call it a wraps because of the salt and everything. No big deal to ride out in the winter. If you ride in the winter, you just want to make sure that it's a dry winter day when the salt has now kind of dried out and it's not, going to stick to your bike per se. It's dusty. Then you don't got to worry about that. You can get back, wipe your bike down really good. I mean, unless you have a means to wash your bike in your garage because you got a drain and you're not going to freeze it and, whatever. Again, whatever you've got is good. But you don't want to ride after a rainfall or a snowfall in the winter after salt has been thrown on the ground. It's just going to mix with water. It's going to splash up on your bike, and then that's when the severe rusting begins. So make sure it's dry out and all that salt is dried out and it's not going to stick to the bike. So anyway, hey, we're 20 minutes into this. That's all I got. Again, the Cycle Shack Podcast at gmail.com. On Facebook at the Cycle Shack Podcast. Instagram, you can now check it out at official Cycle Shack Podcast. What else do I got? We got Instagram, the Facebook, and YouTube, the Cycle Shack Podcast. This show is going to air. Not much to see. As you can see, it's still my little shack here in the background. I always just never had a way to record this on video. But I'm doing it from my trusty iPhone, and everything I've been doing from the phone. So, it looks pretty good, so we're going to stick with it. Thanks for listening. Keep the 2 wheels down. Get out, get some riding. See you guys when I see you, and we'll do it again soon. Thanks a lot.